Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth. Happy Monday. It's Monday, August 8th. Hope you're well. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Going to get started with the live stream here momentarily. If you could smash the like, help support me in the channel, and we'll get started here. I see we have quite a few people with us already. Welcome, welcome. Going to get started here shortly. We'll give it another 30 seconds or so for people to join us. All right, I see we have quite a few people joining the live stream. If you can let us know where you're tuning in from. And it was a good day out there for the LPs, but overall MJ in general, the whole market really in general, but we'll take it, right? So before we get started, make sure to smash the like, help support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can tick the bell and subscribe. You'll be notified on any future videos. There's some drilling going on. The parkade, it's just a never-ending thing here outside my condo. Hopefully it's not too disturbing, but going to get started with the live stream today. We're going to talk about a poll that I made. How much would your HEXO bag be worth? Let us know in the comments. How much would your HEXO position and bag be worth if the price somehow returns to $3 USD? I know a lot of people think that's a pretty far stretch, but it happens a lot quicker than you think. As soon as these MJ stock starts to reverse, we're going to see 200-300% easily, in my opinion, if we get anything like safe banking, that type of thing. Obviously, U.S. legalization, Germany, New York coming online in the fall, but we'll do some technical analysis on HEXO as well. Going to try to keep the stream a little shorter today, but let me know in the comments below if HEXO goes to $3 USD. How much would your HEXO bag be worth? Like I said, I did a poll earlier on, and the reason why I did HEXO is because a lot of our community, I know I did a couple polls as well. I said, what is your largest MJ stock holding? If the option, if you're looking for, isn't on this list, because I can only put on 5 on any of these polls. YouTube will only allow me to do 5. I put on Tilray, Trulieve, HEXO, GTII, and Cura. And like I said, most people selected HEXO there, and myself included. It's my biggest MJ holding. Tilray is my second biggest, and then I've got, Canopy. I've got 12 or 13 different MJ stocks. I got retailers. I've got MSOS. It was my third biggest holding next to Tilray, which is the ETF tracking all American operators. So I've got Canadian operators, American operators. I've got retailers like High Tide. I've got ETFs as well, right? I want all MJ to do well. And then I also asked how many HEXO investors are from the United States versus Canada. I live in Canada, obviously, but majority of people on my channel, I found that interesting, are from the US. So that's a pretty cool fact, and this will only get more votes as the channel grows, obviously, but my channel will grow as fast as it will grow based on me telling the truth. And I know I'm not always that popular, and that's because I tell people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And my brutal honesty is somewhat offensive to some people, right? And you get people who are either an MSO maximalist or I did a video on Matt Lamers, who just, points out Canopy's losses, but he didn't point out the reason for the losses, right? There's a reason, there's a method to the madness, and that's because they're focusing on world domination. They're focusing on the U.S. They're already building brands in the U.S. Through Martha Stewart and First and Free and things like that. They've got stores in Bickle, right? Whereas MSOs in the U.S., they're not even selling in all of the U.S. yet, right? So they haven't even gotten their own backyard figured out. Whereas a lot of these LPs are selling in Canada. They're, number 1, number 2, number 3, respectively. And then they've also got operations in the U.S., like HEXO, for example, is selling hemp CBD through Truss, Molson Coors joint venture, and they're selling in 26 states, right? So HEXO is probably selling in more states than some of our American operators, right? So the poll that I did today was, how much will your HEXO bag be worth if we get back to $3 USD? So that's monthly EMA 26 resistance. We'll do some technical analysis on the chart as well. We're close to starting the monthly bounce here, but if you take a look at EMA 12, that is sitting at $1.08. And EMA 26 is sitting at $2.93. So essentially, if we get back to EMA 26, that would put us around $3. And what's interesting about these EMAs, right, if you take a look at the daily time frame, we usually gravitate back towards them, right? So we get above them, and then we come down. We get extended to the upside, then we come back down, and we get extended to the downside. Then we come back, and we ebb and flow, and we gravitate back towards those moving averages. So if we tend to come back to those moving averages, And, the bankruptcy FUD's gone, right? They did the same thing with Coinbase. They did the same thing with Tesla, right? Everybody thought all the great companies, they always make this bankruptcy scare. They did it with Apple, right? Apple in 1997. If it wasn't for Tilray investing Microsoft investing 150 million back in 1997, Apple would have apparently went bankrupt. But I'm sure there was a lot more opportunities and options for them to do that, right? It's just number one and number two working together because the world's rigged, right? The monopoly is the world. We can't have a financial market that's not rigged and manipulated, right? Because JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, all the financial Wall Street banks have been doing it since time began, right? So since financial markets began. So if it's always been manipulated, we can't change the status quo, right? Because they're in power and they run the world, right? So does that remind you of anything? How much did Tilray invest into HEXO? Like $170 million or whatever, right? So it's pretty much the same situation. And HEXO could have even sold its position in the stake in the Molson Coors joint venture trust. That's something else they could have done before they went, quote unquote, bankrupt, right? But like I said, once these things reverse, they're going to reverse in a hurry, in my opinion. Personally, I'm holding about 75,000 HEXO shares. So if HEXO goes back to $3, my HEXO bag will be worth approximately $250,000. And and one thing I want to go over is my plan. So if the old adage goes and the saying goes, if you fail to plan, you'll plan to fail, right? So those who fail to plan to fail. And if you don't have a strategy or a buying strategy or a selling strategy or a plan before you enter said trade, you're doing it wrong, right? Well, some people might get lucky, but generally you want to have a plan before you get in. So I'll go over my plan and what we can potentially do to help that transcend to you. Again, my strategy isn't going to be the same, and you should never compare yourself to somebody else either, because no two situations are the same, and everybody's at different stages of their journey and on their pursuits of wealth, right? So I've got people in Pow Group that have a lot more HEXO shares than me, right? But I don't compare myself to anybody. I got my head down, and I've got my goals and I've got my plan, and I'll share that with you here in a moment. But you can see here 8%. If HEXO goes back to $3, they would have 200,000 plus, 28 which are in the same camp as me. 300,000, 28% of people would have $300,000 plus, right? So that's pretty crazy to fathom, right? That's a lot of money. That's life-changing wealth, right? And then 20% would have 100,000 plus. Another majority there, 28, so tied for 10,000 plus and 300,000 plus. So we've got some pretty big POW whales out there, but I'll show you the biggest whale of all here in a moment in HEXO. And 5,000 plus would have 18% at 5,000 plus. So here's the biggest HEXO whale on the planet, and you guessed it, it's Tilray Brands. They would, if they convert, they haven't yet converted, it's convertible note, so they have the option to convert. Essentially, they can just sit on their hands and do nothing, collect $20 million a year in interest, or later on, they can look at converting into equity, and then maybe even potentially put the two companies together. So essentially, assuming no potential merger with HEXO and Tilray before HEXO gets to $3, then I think there's a very good chance that HEXO is going to go back to $3 in short order, especially if we get safe banking. We know that there's been some compromise with regards to the MJ bills that are going through Congress right now. So we're looking to get some bipartisan support for that. But you can see here that if converted, Tilray would have 564 million shares of HEXO. And I mentioned that here. I'll just bring it up. So we got Jeffrey saying just got filled 82,000 of 100,000. Okay, I'm topped up to 100,000 LFG. Let's go. And then I said Tilray's investment in HEXO will be worth roughly $2.1 billion Canadian if HEXO returns to $3 USD, assuming there's no merger before that happens. So the biggest whale, you're looking at it, Tilray Brands. Now imagine how much would that be worth if HEXO went to $6. It was just at $11 USD back in February of 2021, so about a year and a half ago. HEXO is at $11. Imagine. That'd be like $7 billion for Tilray's investment into HEXO, right? Invest a couple $100 million, turn a couple $100 million into $6-7 billion. And this could happen like in a couple months. It could get back to $3 in a couple months. It might take 6 months, it might take a year, could take 2 years. But do you think Tilray's really concerned? I'm not concerned. I don't need the money that I invested into HEXO, and I didn't invest any more than I was willing to lose. Plus, I own like 12 other MJ stocks, right? So yeah, everybody let me know what your HEXO bag would be worth. But Tilray's got us all beat, I'm sure. Who else? I'm just waiting for Wall Street to invest in MJ again. This will explode, absolutely. And yeah, Boris goes on to say he has 800 shares of HEXO, invest most of my money in Tilray. And I said, yeah, Tilray and HEXO seem to be the most owned in POW. HEXO was top holding in the poll I made a couple weeks ago, so I was curious how many people how many shares people have. I'm at close to 75,000, and Tilray is my second biggest MJ holding. So congrats, man. Thank you very much. I actually should own more now that it's dirt cheap. Going to buy more before it hits 50 cents. And then Smooth Adventure goes on to say, I got to buy more. He said, I'm at 54 shares, nowhere near your 75,000. But, and again, what I said was, don't compare yourself to anybody else, right? Because, everybody's different, right? And you got to start somewhere, right? And that's what I said. I said, everyone's different. We all start somewhere. I started off small with nothing basically, and I worked my way up. I even busted my account and lost it all. And then I was hacked, I was hacked once in crypto, and then I lost a Bitcoin and 2 Ethereum to Quadriga. And I lost, and back in the peak of the bull run in crypto, that had been about $150,000, 1 Bitcoin and 2 Ethereum. So that hurt, but I learned my lesson, right? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me thrice. I'm not going to let it happen, right? But yeah, it happens a lot quicker than you think, right? And I did a video as well, how to grow your portfolio. What's the best way to grow your portfolio? In my opinion, is to start small. Start with a 3-figure, 4-figure portfolio. You know that you're going to make mistakes, right? The whole idea of Power Group was to help you not make the same mistakes I made. But essentially, you're still going to make mistakes, right? Regardless if I'm there holding your hand, you're going to make mistakes. It's inevitable. We're human. And starting off with a 3-figure or 4-figure portfolio, $100 or $1,000 portfolio, if you make a mistake, you're not going to, bust your account, right? So that's why it's best to not, go heavy with 5 figures or 6 figures in an account when you don't really know what you're doing. Because if you hit the wrong button or, you didn't really understand something completely, it just comes with experience. So I was glad that I started with a low account and a low dollar volume and value, so that when I did make mistakes or whenever that exchange went insolvent, I didn't, I was able to bounce back, right? So it's all about risk management. I said also there's lots of people who have more HEXO shares than I do in POW, and one thing I've learned is financial markets is don't compare yourself to anyone else, because no two situations are the same. For example, Tilray's investment in HEXO will be worth roughly $2.1 billion, and they have 564 million shares. I've got close to 75,000 shares. So, I could look at that and be like, oh, I'm nowhere near Tilray's, 564 million, right? It's all a matter of perspective, right? So I look like an ant compared to Tilray, right? So don't compare yourself to anybody. Everybody's on a different part of their journey, and just do you. Start low. It happens a lot quicker than you think. Soon you'll build it from a 3-figure to a 4-figure, 4-figure to a 5-figure, and the next thing you know, you're at 6 figures in your account, and then you're on to 7 figures. And I'm telling you, once you get to 6 figures, it's amazing. Like, things just start to compound. It's called compound interest. Just take a look at a compound interest calculator, and I see a lot of people. They rent a car or they do a lease payment on a car. Well, instead of paying $400 or $500 for a lease payment on a car, why not buy a car for $2,000 or $3,000? Buy a beater, and then take that money that you would have been spending on the nice car and put that into investments, right? And that's just not what people do, right? People don't usually stick to it, and even if you just do a random buy, if you just start buying some MJ stocks every payday or every week or every 2 weeks, regardless of what the price is, just start buying and buying and buying. And even if you're averaging up or averaging down, right, it's going to be better than putting it into a depreciating asset like a car, right? A car loses 30% the second you drive it off a lot. So that's why I've never ever really leased a car or taken on a huge amount of debt that wasn't beneficial, right? Like mortgages and things like that are appreciative in value, that are considered assets, not liabilities. A car is actually a liability. People think, oh, well, I can sell my car for this amount of money, but it's a liability because it costs money to maintain and the value's going down, unless it's everything bubble of 2022 and people are selling used cars for more than they bought them for. That's an anomaly, though. That doesn't happen very often, right? So I said, Tilray's got us all beat. Tilray, the real HEXO whale. My pleasure. Glad you enjoy the content. Makes it all worthwhile. And it really does. If anybody finds value out of this video, thanks for supporting me on my journey, and I'll support you on your journey, right? It's the pursuit of wealth. And like I said, I'm here through the thick and the thin, regardless of, bear markets or bull markets. I'm going to be here for, indefinitely, really, to be completely honest with you. So Boris just said it was a great time to invest in MJ. The next year beyond is going to be massive, and I would tend to agree. So taking a look, we'll get into the chat here in a moment. And we're at about 15 minutes. I'm going to try to keep this one around 30 minutes. So we'll do another 15 minutes or so. I do have to go, and I'm trying to get my Airbnb ready for Thursday or Friday to go live. So got pretty much everything I did. I had a weekend project getting the bunk bed all done. I had to get some rails, and I bought a new mattress, queen mattress for the top bunk. And got to go do a bit more shopping. Nothing too extreme. Got all the big stuff done, and then do some cleaning. And then I've got a photographer coming on Wednesday to take some professional photos. So looking forward to that. And that's what I'm getting, and that's what helps me get through the bear market. And that's a good segue into my plan, right? So in a bear market, I don't stress over the prices, right? I find other things. There's a reason why I own more cash than anything else in my investment portfolio, and why I'm focusing on Edmonton real estate, because it's highly undervalued. And that's what I do to keep myself busy. I'm starting an Airbnb. So while I'm waiting for the recovery in MJ and some of my altcoins and crypto, I'm starting other avenues, right? More than one streams of income. As long as you have if you don't have all your eggs in one basket, you're going to have more opportunities, right? For example, I made a ton of money off real estate during the C19 crisis. And who would have thought that prices would have skyrocketed like that in real estate, like unheard of gains, right, in such a short period of time. But if you don't put yourself in that situation, if you don't allow multiple opportunities and diversify yourself, don't over diversify, don't stretch yourself too thin. But my plan has always been with HEXO, never invest any more than I'm willing to lose. The money that I put into HEXO or MJ in general, I have 13 or so different MJ stocks, HEXO being my biggest position. If you're putting money into an MJ stock, it shouldn't be money that you need for rent. It should, if you're waiting till payday to get paid, and again, not financial advice, it's for entertainment purposes only, do your own research. This is just my opinion. But in my opinion, you shouldn't be taking a large portion of your pay if you can't afford it. So if you're struggling to pay rent and then you're gonna buy $500 worth of HEXO with that out of your pay, that's probably a bad idea. Or borrowing money to buy MJ stocks is a terrible idea, because crypto and MJ are the two most volatile sectors on the planet. So yeah, not a good idea. Don't borrow money to buy high risk assets. That's just not. You don't need to invest a lot of money in order to see life-changing wealth and gains, right? If HEXO just goes back to $11 from its low there at 17 cents, that's 60x. All you would need to do is put $1,000, and if we go back to $11, which it was just at about a year and a half ago, that's $60,000. So for every $1,000, you would turn into $60,000. So how many times you need to do that to make life-changing wealth, right? So again, you don't need to invest $5,000 or $10,000 to make any real life-changing wealth, right? And like I said, you don't want to stretch yourself too thin. You don't want to invest money that you don't have, and it needs to be money that can sit there for a long period of time. That's what investing is, right? Actually, the people who hold longer end up doing better. It's just facts, right? The statistics show the longer you hold, the better you do, right? And it's not that trading or swing trading is better or worse than investing. It's just that's what the numbers say. And quite often it's less stressful to just buy and hold and not try to worry about getting in all the time and time in the markets, because algos and bots and things like that are getting more sophisticated, and essentially they're doing like the majority of the trading, right? So you're competing with more sophisticated algorithms day after day after day, right? So again, my plan is not invest any more than I'm willing to lose. It's money that I don't need, that I can let sit for many, many years if I need to, right? If it happens in 2 years, US legalizes, great. If it happens in 5, cool. Happens in 10, I'm okay with that as well. My time horizon, I don't need any more money to live a comfy life, right? I don't need another dollar and I'd be fine, right? But I'm placing my bets. I've done thousands of hours of research, and I think that MJ is going to be the next real opportunity, right? And life-changing gains. Crypto was in the last couple of years. Now it's going to be, the next few years are going to be MJ, in my opinion. So my plan all along, and here's something you can do too. Have HEXO in, or any MJ. So I've got MJ in a long-term account, and my long-term account is a TFSA, because you're not supposed to, and this is Canadian, it's a tax-free savings account, just means that it's after-tax money. So I'm putting in after-tax money into a tax-free savings account. Any gains are tax-free, no tax. So TFSA, you're not supposed to trade, right? You're only supposed to just buy and hold, and it's for investments, right? You could flag your account and forfeit any gains. So you want to be careful not to overtrade in a TFSA. And again, I'm not a legal advisor. So I have it in a long-term account. There's way less money in that long-term account, right? Dollar-wise. Then I've got it in a short-term account. And this is the same for all MJ. I've got Canopy and Tilray in a long-term no touch. And then I've got Canopy and Tilray in a shorter-term account, right? Which is a RSP, which you can do day trading because you get taxed later on when you take the money out. So this is and for those in the US, it's kind of the same idea, right? It's like a 401k versus, I don't know the exact, I'm not American, but all you need to know is RSPs, you get taxed when you take the money out, and TFSAs are tax-free and you never pay any tax. So they don't want you over trading in Canada or day trading in Canada. So that's how I keep my sanity, right? Is I have my long-term no touch, and my plan, I've seen a lot of people say my plan has changed with HEXO, or not, my plan hasn't changed, it just fell through. Well, for me, my initial plan was in my long-term no touch account, I'm going to buy MJ stocks, a mix of Canadian, American, retailers, and ETFs in a long-term no touch, right? It's going to be way less money in that account because it's going to be long-term. So I'm not going to put, 80% of my net worth in that thing. It's going to be a small amount, and I'm never selling until I'm financially enticed to do so, and until the US legalizes. So that was my plan all along, and it's been unwavered. I am not selling any of my HEXO or any of my MJ in my long-term account until the United States legalizes at the federal level. I don't care. If we go to $100 before they legalize on HEXO, I'm not selling it, right? But I've got HEXO in a shorter-term account for my recent buys. So I recently bought a lot of HEXO I started buying it around $2, a dollar post-split, factoring in. So if we go back, I'll just go back real quick. This might be a little bit longer video. I'll try to cap it at 45 minutes though. But I started buying it really heavily here. This is when I first started covering it on my YouTube channel and making content. It was in the summer of 2020. And that's when I started buying it here. I bought it, I think my first position was like right here after that big pullback. We started the monthly bounce, and then we pulled back about 60%. And I started buying it here. And then everybody told me that it was going to crash leading into the split. They were going to do a 1 for 8. They ended up revising it for a 1 for 4 because everything started taking off in the MJ space. And I was able to get in there, and then I was selling on this way up in my short-term account. Again, I wasn't selling in my long-term account. All I do is log in there and buy until the US legalizes, right? And we see that run up into the US legalization. Forgot to share my screen here. So this is where I was buying here back in leading up to this split, which was in October of 2020. And then we went all the way up to $11. And what I was doing in my short-term account was I was selling on the way up here because we were hitting weekly overbought, and it was likely due for a pullback, right? We see here we were going from weekly oversold to weekly overbought on the RSI. So I was just looking but I wasn't selling it in my short-term account to just sell and never buy it back again in my short-term account. I was just looking to reload cheaper, so to increase my amount of shares, right? So then I sold around $8, $9. I didn't hold all the way up to $11, right? I didn't time the top, but as long as I'm selling near the top in my shorter term account, but again, I have it in my long term, not touching that one, right? So I have the best of both worlds. And then I started buying it back at around $8, $7. So the one I sold at $9, I started to buy that back around $8. The one I sold at $8, I started to buy back around $7, right? Hopefully this makes sense. And then I went pretty heavy at $5. And then we also had a bit of we had a double top here, and the cup and handle failed. And then we had support there at 502. And that's when I believe we confirmed the monthly downtrend. Let's see here. Or no, we didn't confirm. It's just been a straight bleed, but yeah, we had this bit of a descending triangle that was forming as well on HEXO. And if you take the measured move of that descending triangle, I was anticipating a drop to around $2.80, $3. So what I did was in my short-term account, when we lost $5 there, that key support at 502, that's when we confirmed the weekly downtrend. That's what it was. It was lower high, lower low, not much follow through. Descending triangle just means bearish continuation pattern with a horizontal line of support and lower highs on the resistance. And then generally these break down to the downside, right? So then we confirmed a weekly downtrend as well. Once we lost the 502, after 502, we confirmed the weekly downtrend, and then that's when we got our follow through. And I actually exited some of my position in my short-term account after we lost $5, and I bought it back around $4, and then it just kept going. So my long-term account plan never changed. I was only buying and not selling until U.S. legalization, right? But then no one anticipated this drop, right? Nobody on planet Earth could have saw that coming. But all MJ started doing it, right? Even US MJ was down, and then Tilray was down over 95%, and every name down 80 to 90% plus, right, in MJ. So granted, it dropped a lot more. I entered in a lot sooner than I did, but again, I held cash on the side. I was hedging the S&P 500 in case we saw more downside, and that's exactly what happened. The S&P 500 collapsed about 20%. Netflix dropped 80% in 6 months. The whole market capitulated, and we saw more downside. So that's why I was glad I hedged. I was up on my short position on SPY on the S&P 500, and then I used those profits to buy more beaten down MJ. And then again, I entered a little too soon, right? But I was able to, I set a stop loss below $5, and then once I sold just below $5, I was able to get back in at $4, increase my shares, right? And then at 40 cents, and once we get to $1, I bought a bunch at $1, right? I went really heavy at $5, and then I looked to take some off and then just re-enter lower once we got, because I thought that was going to be the bottom. Just like, again, I don't have a crystal ball. We can look at, the technical analysis, but all it is odds and probabilities, right? But then after we confirmed that descending triangle, I knew we could be targeting about $3, but again, I don't need to time the exact bottom. I was just dollar cost averaging. And then, after all of our other names started to really start to fall, and then SPY started to fall, I kind of took a little bit of a more laid back approach, and I said, okay, I'm not gonna dollar cost average too soon. I'm just gonna wait. And then at $2.50 I entered a bunch, and then $2, and then $1.50, and then $1, and then 50 cents. I went pretty heavy around 50 cents. And then at 17 cents the other day, with a $1,000 investment, you could get 5,500 shares of HEXO with $1,000. Canadian, not even American. So that's like 750 US, right? So I was getting 5,500 shares, so 5,500 shares of HEXO at 17 cents. So then I made a new plan. So those purchases that I made at 40 cents and 20 cents, a new plan. So then I have take profit levels, TP, right? So my first take profit on that 40 cent entry is going to be $2.50. And then my first, or on the 17 cent entry, or 20 cents or whatever. And then my second take profit is going to be $5 on the 40 cent entry or the 50 cent entry, right? So I'm just going to look to take profit as we go up. So my first take profit level, again, I'm talking about my short-term account. My long-term account, I'm not selling until the US legalizes. In my short-term account, I've got my first take profit level, which is going to be $2.50. Because imagine the returns, right? If you went heavy at 17 cents, 5,500 shares for a $1,000 investment, if we get to $2.50, that's going to be a big deal, right? So that's my first take profit level. Then my second take profit level is going to be $5, and then $7.50, $10, right? And then again, I'm not gonna really look to move that money elsewhere, because even then we're still going to be undervalued, in my opinion, compared to where we're going if the US legalizes. So my goal is to just get my share count up, right? I don't need the money right now, and I'm prepared to let it sit 5 or 10 years if I have to. But all I'm going to be doing it by selling is going to be looking to reload cheaper. That money that I'm going to be selling in my short-term account with any MJ stock, not just HEXO, I'm not selling for the sake of selling. I'll probably take out my initial investment, but I'm still going to enter back in my shorter term account, because my goal is to get as many shares as possible, right? So the same thing could be applied to Tilray, right? So hopefully that helps. If you guys want any more clarification on that, or what you can potentially use as a plan for your positions in MJ, not just HEXO, but we'll try to keep this one a little bit more centered on HEXO. And I'm going to try to wrap it up here in about 15 minutes. I wanted to do 15 minutes worth of Q&A and interacting with you all. and went a little bit longer giving my plan, because I think that's something that most people they just buy and they don't have any plan, or they initiate a trade and they don't have any plan, and that's how you get emotional, right? Because you didn't have any plan, you don't know what you're going to do if X happens or Y happens. You're just going to emotionally react, right? And that's why the saying goes, those who fail to plan to fail, right? So if you do have a new plan, every time you hit that buy button, you should have a plan, right? And regardless if your initial plan, you might feel like it should change, that's when you start to get into trouble. That's why I have my long-term account, and it helps me sleep at night, because I always have skin in the game, and I didn't invest too much money in that account. And I can just, I don't care if it goes down 80 or 90%. I'll buy more in that account, and I'll dollar cost average, and I'll just let it sit for years if I have to. So we'll do some quick analysis here. On HEXO, we didn't hit the monthly record volume that we were potentially looking for last month. We came darn close, though. We hit 265 million shares traded. The record is 291. We're already at a good start here so far this month, but usually volume precedes price. So a lot of people say, well, the volume doesn't mean anything because the share price is so low. Well, yes, but usually volume precedes price, just like what happened back here, right? Look at the volume start to ramp up, and then the price came after, right? So one could say that, oh, it's the max volume here. It's like, yeah, but back here, it was way more expensive, so no wonder the volume's up. Well, guess what? Volume preceded price here, so might it do the same this time? Well, that's basically how technical analysis works, so I would think so. Taking a look at the monthly time frame. A lot of our names starting monthly bounces, including other asset classes as well, and we haven't bounced on HEXO really since back here in March and February. But we only bounced by 3 pennies, so I wouldn't even consider that a bounce. We essentially have no resistance on the monthly until up here at $11. That is insane. EMA 12 is there at $1.08, and then EMA 26 is there at $2.93. So again, that's why I said $3. What would your HEXO bag be worth if we get back to $3? Because that'd be EMA 26. Man, what a brutal slide, right? But all MJ looks like this, right? CGC, that's a pretty gross chart too. Tilray, right? Down 95%. HEXO on its monthly chart from February 21 highs down 98%. So 95, 98, they're both pretty bad, right? So that's why it helps to have a long-term account and, potentially use a dollar cost averaging approach and have a shorter term account as well. So what I want to see is a break of 25 cents. Not only is it the high of last month, it's also a psychological level. So if we get over 25 cents, I could easily see us going back to $1 pretty quickly, because we're going to start the monthly bounce, and we haven't bounced on the monthly since February 2021, really. So the great thing about a huge, brutal pullback is it's going to be matched with a pretty aggressive move to the upside, right? The bigger the pullback, the bigger the bounce. It's just law of physics, right? It's pretty exciting, right? And you can't have one without the other. You can't have a bear market without a bull market. And how do you expect to get to life-changing gains without having absurdly low prices to buy in at, right? So this is where champions are made, in my opinion. And that's what my shirt actually says. I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of funny. Totally didn't mean for that to go to line up like that, but. So yeah, not really much changed. You could make the case that we confirmed a weekly uptrend though. So we have the low, high, higher low, and higher high. We need follow through, but essentially we're starting to confirm the weekly uptrend. That means zoom out to the monthly, watch for the monthly bounce to get underway. Once we confirm a monthly uptrend, then we can say, okay, bear market is done. We're entering a new potential multi-year bull market, and we could be heading up to all-time highs in the next bull market based on how much we've been pulling back really since Canada legalized. On the daily time frame, we confirmed a daily uptrend as well with the low, high, higher low, and higher high. Next resistance, like I said, is 25 cents. After 25 cents, we're looking at about 28 cents, 34 cents, 43 cents, 50 psychological, and then it's up at $1. But this is good. We're in daily and weekly uptrends. Now we just need monthlies. And we need to start the monthly bounce. Bouncing just means we're breaking the high of the previous monthly candle, and consolidation just means we're losing the low of the previous candle, right? Not just on the monthly, but any time frame. Bounce just means you're breaking the high of the previous candle. Consolidation, pulling back, just means you're losing the low of the previous candle on any time frame, right? So we start that monthly bounce, then we'll look for the same deal. We'll look for the bounce to get underway, form a higher low and a higher high, and then we're off to the races. New bull market confirmed. On the 10-week moving average, we're above it at 21 cents. So I want to see a weekly candle close above that this week. And the MACD has been bullish now since November of 2021. And it usually takes about 6 months to a year after we have a weekly MACD bull cross for us to see real upside and bullish momentum. So we're coming on that year mark into the fall here. When we have the elections, safe banking, Democrats are at risk of losing control of the Senate, which they just barely got control of last year. That's what created that whole run up in euphoria at $11 in HEXO in the first place, and the rest of MJ. Tilray went to $67. That was because the Dems took control of the Senate, and we thought that we're going to see some of MJ reform, right? But because of that, because they're now sliding in the polls, I really don't care who wins. I just want what's best for MJ, right? And what's best for MJ would be the Dems to make a push to regain those votes and come through on their promises that got them elected in the first place, would be to do some sort of safe banking or even descheduling, right? Removing it from a Schedule 1, just descheduling. Maybe not full-blown federal legalization, but descheduling and safe banking, that would easily ignite the sector, and they could potentially pass some crypto bills that they're looking to do by the fall as well. So all these things could align nicely, and they might use that as a tactic to gain back some votes, right? So we'll be watching for that, but it's just interesting how that lines up with the MACD as well. And you can see here we've been trending higher and higher and higher on the MACD. We had a bull cross of the stochastic as well, that oscillator. And like I said, a weekly candle close over 21 cents will be uber bullish. In terms of the weekly moving average, we have nothing nearby until the 50 weekly at 80 cents, and then the 100 weekly there at 293. So not only is 293 monthly EMA 26, it's also the 100 weekly moving average. So $3, I'm not selling a single HEXO share in any of my long-term or short-term account until we get to $2.50. I saw HEXO's market cap was back up to 180 million, maybe 190 million there at one point with the high of the day. But yeah, I think it'll be back up to 500 million market cap in no time, once we start to get the whole sector start to reverse. And we know that the CPG partner first edibles are due to Quebec. They said it's cookies, granola bars, and other food products as well. They said they hope to have it to the SQDC in Quebec by the end of the summer. So if we see safe banking and things start to reverse, prime time to release that information. But HEXO can't say anything until the CPG partner releases a press release, because they're under non-disclosure agreement. 50-day moving average is there at 22 cents, so we're battling it right now. We failed to close above it. So a little bit of a warning sign. If we do close over 22 cents tomorrow, we'll be watching the 100 there at 34 cents. And then the 200-day moving average there at 62 cents. So those are some other levels to be watching as well in terms of our moving averages. All right, going to get into the chat. I see there's quite a few people, almost 50 people still with us. Let us know what your bag would be if we hit $3 USD on HEXO. And again, don't feel any pressure to tell you. If you don't want to say, that's fine too. Like I said, there's people in POW that have way more shares than me, and I don't compare myself to them or think I'm any less of a person. Everybody's different, right? But I have a ton of cash. I have a ton of mutual funds and retirement and crypto and real estate as well. So again, everybody's situation is different. POW Group, you bet. Thanks for joining us, Anthony. Atlanta, Georgia, welcome. Cooking in a restaurant to make money. HEXO is my favorite stock. This is the only HEXO channel I've ever seen about HEXO, except for that pump and dump guy. $3 is $100K for me and the fam. Yeah, well, that's what it's all about, right? No one's gonna look after number one in your family but you and your family, right? So don't listen to these Wall Street bankers. Don't listen to the people who are telling you that things are going bankrupt and trying to get you to FOMO and FUD in and out of positions. Know what you own. Do thousands of hours of research. There's no shortcut in life, right? If you want to become financially independent, you're going to have to put in the work, unless you win the lottery. But it's statistically proven that most people who win the lottery end up going broke again anyway. So you don't want that in your life either. Trust me. But yeah, I wish you nothing best for you and your fam, Will. I think we're all going to be heavily rewarded here. But I appreciate it. Glad that you find value in the channel. Glad I'm your favorite channel as well. And yeah, there's not a whole lot of people covering HEXO, not a whole lot of people covering MJ in general, because it's not hip, it's not popular, right? People don't want to get their view count down. They don't want to damage their reputation because people are like, oh, he's covering a stock that's down 90%, right? People just want views. I could care less about views and money that I get off YouTube. I don't need another dollar in my lifetime. I will grow my channel based on me telling the truth and nothing but the truth, right? And this is an MJ-centric YouTube channel and what we specialize in. Secondly, we specialize in crypto, but again, that's probably 20% of the content, and 80 to 90% is MJ, right? And that's my passion. That's what I truly believe that I was put here on this earth to do, was to pursue a career in MJ. I love it. It's medicine. It changed my life forever. And, you know, both from a health perspective, you know, I feel better when I do that versus alcohol. I mean, alcohol is poison, so poison, medicine, and yeah, financially, you know, I benefited off of a ton of different investments, right? But I think MJ is going to be that next multi-year bull market that's going to be, you know, 50 to 100x gains, right? I bought more HEXO because of POW Channel. That's awesome. Well, I will say I'm flattered, but you know, you should never buy anything because anybody tells you to, right? You need to be comfortable. You need to vet that information and know what it is that you're buying, because you need to believe in the company as well, right? So, you know, you can take a look at a few different sources. You know, you got a couple of trusted sources, reputable sources that you follow. And if they like HEXO, right? I mean, it's a vote of confidence that Tilray is so interested in HEXO as well, right? When I saw Tilray was so interested in HEXO, that just made me even more confident in my investment, right? I knew what I owned, right? So, but I didn't buy HEXO because somebody else told me to, or they thought it was a good idea. I did thousands of hours of research and I know what I own, right? And this was way before HEXO was ever number one in rec market share, right? But that's awesome. 300K, nice, Mirza. Yeah, so you got more HEXO shares than I do, right? But again, some people might only have HEXO, or, you know, I've got 13 different MJ stocks, or I forget the number now. I think it's just over a dozen. And then I've also got a ton of cash. I got a second real estate property that I just purchased. I've got short positions on the S&P 500. I got mutual funds, right? So I'm diversified. I've got altcoins and stuff like that in crypto, which I have like a dozen there. And I own more crypto dollar-wise than I do MJ. It's getting pretty close, but I own more crypto dollar-wise than I do MJ, right? So again, I'm diversified. And I you know, I'll add more MJ if we drop to new lower lows on some of our names, but for the most part, my bags are packed and I'm not going to invest anymore. Cheers. You'd have around 50K. That's awesome. 50K can go a long way, right? And then what can you do with that 50K? If, you know, you turn 10K into 50K, all you need is 100% gain, or 200%, 2x to get to 100K, right? And then 100K, you know, you double that, that's 200K, right? And then before you know it, you're half a millionaire, right? And I mean, $2 million is like the new $1 million, or $3 million is like the new million in this day and age because of inflation. But damn, the LPs took off today. Yeah, you bet. Let's hope it remains like that. Yeah, so that's generally what we see. I mean, overall, US MJ seems to be stronger because it's closer to confirming weekly uptrends. But that's what we normally see, is with the NASDAQ and NYSE, anything on US major exchanges that have, like Tilray had $2.5 billion traded in one day once. So that's where Wall Street plays around, right? That's where the Wall Street bankers, JP Morgan's, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, that's where they play, right? Is Tilray, CGC, things like that, right? And then that'll trickle down, and then once more companies uplist, both Canadian and American, then it'll change, right? But Tilray's the Wall Street banker poster child, right? And I think that's going to change. And if it's the Wall Street banker poster child, might that money start to soon flow into HEXO, since HEXO's partnering with Tilray, right? So one would think so. I would think so. But yeah, usually the LPs skyrocket more, like the top tier exchange, or the top tier LPs on those US major exchanges. And that's just because of sheer dollar volume and liquidity, right? $11.5K shares here. Nice. Yeah. So again, everybody's different. You can see, you know, Boris says 800 shares. You do the math. Exactly. Right. So there's no right or wrong amount or way of doing it. Again, as long as you're following the golden rules, don't invest any more than you're willing to lose, and be prepared to let it sit, right? $500,000, Tim says. Wow. I think that's the highest I've seen yet. So you're next to Tilray as the biggest HEXO whale. Just curious, do you own any other MJ stocks or any other stocks in general, Tim, or real estate? Been in HEXO for a couple years, been through the reverse split, and I am down about 9K right now, but with an average buy-in of $3.50 or so. Yep, yeah, exactly. And, you know, like I said, when we were at 17 cents, you can drastically lower your average. I got, for $1,000 Canadian, I got 5,500 shares at 17 cents, right? But most people at 17 cents, they're like, MJ stocks aren't for me, right? But that's the maximum point of financial opportunity, right? You can easily get your cost basis down and really start to add to those shares. Not just HEXO, but anything really. But yeah, thanks for sharing, Andrew. Chris says 30,000 big ones, all thanks to you. Well, you hit the buy button, man. So you know, I'm flattered, but you know, at the end of the day, you're doing the work, right? So you deserve it. You deserve everything that's coming to you, my friend. Cameron, 24,000, nice. Yeah, like again, that's a lot of money, right? I think you mean money, not shares, but. Coin Operated says, what exchanges can I get TrueLeave? They're on the CSE. If you're in the US, you'd have to buy OTC. Jeffrey, I just bought today, closed below that. Closed below what I bought it at, but there was a lot of buying at 29 cents. Yep. Yeah, and I mean, you're not going to time the exact bottom, right? You don't need to time the bottom. You just need to be buying near the bottom and selling near the top. That's the name of the game, right? Buy near support, sell near resistance. And like, yeah, when I enter a position, I pretty much, it's like a given now that I'm not going to time the bottom. If it drops below where I enter, you know, that's fine. We're not all wizards, you know? We don't have crystal balls. Claudio says, got 25,000 shares at $2 Canadian. Nice. Yeah, so just imagine, you know, it goes back to $11 or even all-time highs, right? Hello, everyone. I'm pretty sure the new MJ stocks, I'm pretty new to MJ stocks. I'm into crypto. What stock would be the best investment between Tilray, HEXO, MJ, and SNDL? Personally, HEXO is my biggest position, then Tilray, and then MJ, I think you mean the ETF. I'd probably pick that one third and then SNDL last. Smooth Adventure says 54 shares. Thanks for your comment. Yeah, exactly. So everybody's different, right? You got to start somewhere. So again, you don't need to compare yourself to everybody else. You'll start with 50 shares and 100 shares. You'll start with $50, grow that to $100, grow the 100 to 200, 200, 300, 300, 600, right? Next thing you know, you're into four figures. Then you double that, you're into five figures, right? Six figures and beyond. I appreciate the info. Hit that like button. I appreciate that. If you think I earned it today, just follow what Coin Operated said. I appreciate it. Sycamore Style. I sell my body in the alley behind McDonald's to buy HEXO shares. I knew you were going somewhere like that with it. It's funny. As long as you're not selling your kids or something like that, then body parts. I find value in all of your videos. Thanks as always for your content. Thank you, Cameron. I appreciate your comment, and thanks for being on the live stream. I appreciate the support. It really means a lot as well. It goes both ways. Which McDonald's? Gotta have fun too, right? 22K shares in HEXO. Very nice. Yep, so just imagine HEXO go back to $10 a share or $20 a share, right? But have a plan, right? Have some take profit levels. And it's all going to depend on how much money you invest as well, the amount of capital. Your plan should change drastically, right? You might take profit quicker with a higher capital amount, right? But you might wait and let it sit longer if you didn't invest as much capital, right? So you know which one. All of them. Yeah. I'll see you later. Gone. Get what? McDickens. $3. That's hilarious. More like $0.03. Laughing out loud. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Oh, I don't know what just happened to my spot in the chat too. It just... I'm not sure what you mean by that, Jack. Thanks for the comment. Are you talking about the McDonald's thing? I'm all confused now. Sometimes to get through these comments, there gets to be so many that it's hard to stay on track with everything. How is HEXO doing in Canada? It's #1 in rec sales, so it's above Tilray in terms of MJ sales in the recreational market, and I think it's only going to grow because they've got a ton of new products coming out. Their bake sale, which is 28 grams for here in Alberta, $62. Ridiculously priced, right? But they're still making money off it because their cost per gram is only like 25 cents or something like that. So imagine 25 cents times 28, right? What's that end up being? 25 times 28. That's $7 it costs them to make it. They sell it for 62. Well, that's retail, but they probably sell it to the retailers for 30 or 40 bucks, right? So that's still good margin. And then the Reddies have really good margin as well. They just came out with the Reddies Plus, which are infused and infused pre-rolls. And they got like 13 new beverages. They've got #1 in beverage category. They're #1 in pre-rolls. Signing a deal with Tilray. They're looking to bring Reddies to Germany, France. They're looking to expand Reddies into California. They have a SPV with MedMen is potentially... What could happen is Tilray could buy the convertible notes just like they're doing in HEXO and MedMen, and then that would allow Tilray and HEXO to be able to get into MedMen stores in California. California has the same amount of people as all of Canada, right? And then there's 50 other states. So 26 of which HEXO is selling products in today through Molson Coors JV Hemp CBD USA. National CBD Day today as well, I think it was today, right? Sometimes the days blend in, but yeah. Happy... National CBD. But yeah, they're doing phenomenal. And I think like that those value products like the bake sale, they said it's selling like crazy, right? Because of inflation, right? People are left with more month at the end of the money, right? they don't have as much money at the end of the month. So what are they going to do? Well, MJ is pretty much a necessity for a lot of people, but they're going to opt for that more economical and better price point, in my opinion. And she said at the store, the bud tender, she's like, yeah, we can't keep it in stock because I think you're right, because of inflation. People try it and they're like, oh my God, this stuff's like fantastic, right? Like, I can't believe this is $62 for 28 grams. That's what I thought. Like, I used to grow it myself. I used to grow, 30% plus stuff, and, like Canara Biotech, speaking of which, I'm going to be interviewing the CFO, Nicholas Soziak, next Tuesday. So check out that interview. I'll be doing a live stream, but yeah, I grew the stuff, some of the same genetics that they use, and it was phenomenal stuff, but it was expensive to grow, time consuming. I just don't want to grow my own. People are like, how come you don't grow your own? I just don't want to invest the time. It was fun as a hobby and stuff like that. It was a lot of work, and why would I? I can go buy Canara, who does it a lot better than me, and they have really good craft stuff at good prices, right? Or I can go get HEXO for $62 for 28 grams. Like, it just wouldn't make any sense, right? Unless it's a hobby, which I might get into again. But yeah, I was big into it at one point. But yeah, they're doing really good. Canopy went up 18%. I got mad at myself because I wanted to buy it when it dropped after earnings, but it is what it is. Yeah, so it was a weekly bear flag targeting 233 USD. It got as low as 213, and that's when I started to buy it when we were confirming the weekly bear flag. I was saying that to POW Group members on the POW Group live stream today, that I'm actually up 25% on my CGC that I just bought in my short-term account. I have it in a long-term account, which I'm down on, but I just bought it back in my short-term account. I'm up 25%. CWeb, I'm up 24%. So those are like the only two that I'm really green on. Maybe Organogram, I'm green on that one now in my short-term account. But yeah, it's it is what it is. Hindsight's always 20/20, and get them next time. Kisan, $10 at least, then I will sell. But the question is, how long does it take? 2, 3 maximum? Yeah, it could. Look how fast it shot. It took like 6 months for us to go from a couple dollars to $11. So $2 to $11 in 6 months. I think it could happen a lot sooner than you think, especially if we get safe banking or any kind of descheduling or full-blown legalization here in the next 6 to 12, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is, right? But like I said, it ran from $2-ish to $11-ish on hopes of U.S. legal. It wasn't even hopes. It was the Dems getting control of the Senate. It wasn't even like hopes of legalization. Now, what happens if safe banking passes? What happens if it gets descheduled? And then what happens if it actually legalizes? It's like nothing. It's a blip in the radar, tip of the iceberg. And it always seems impossible too until it happens, right? Cardano went from 1.7 cents to $3.16 in a year. In a little over a year, it's a crypto. You put $1,000, would have been worth $150,000 a year later, right? It always seems impossible until it happens. And there's some people who think Cardano is going to like $8 or $20 or $50 or $100, right? Imagine buying it for 1 penny and it goes to $50. Just out of curiosity, where are you getting your data on HEXO? I've been in this since $8 a share because I was hoping to be in this early. I do tons of research, Andrew. I research everything. Like hundreds of, well, no, maybe not hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of hours researched into MJ, right? I've been covering HEXO since August 2020, before they even were number one in market share. I do tons of things. I do fundamental analysis. I do technical analysis. I don't just buy something because, someone tells me to. I go and I try their products. I look at what their business model is. I look at the quality of their products. The products, like they won the most innovative product award. There's tons, right? And not only that, look at all the other LPs copycatting HEXO. And look at Tilray's interest in wanting HEXO, right? And then they came out Redecan Readies, and then HEXO bought Redecan, and then Oxley came out with the back 40s, the same thing, right? So, like, they want to be the best because HEXO is the best, and everybody knows it. Even on some of the interviews with SSL, Sebastian St. Louis, who I think was the best CEO in the industry, understood the industry better than anybody else. Like, pretty much my idol, right? If I could be anybody on the earth, it'd probably be him, because that guy knows his stuff about MJ. Way more than I do, right? That guy was a visionary. He was an entrepreneur, and I'm an entrepreneur and a visionary as well, but that guy just totally on a different level understood the MJ consumer like nobody's business, right? And he built this company. He built HEXO from $30,000. He had $35,000 with Adam Myron, and they started the company because Adam's dad had cancer. They started it as a medical company, right? Read the book that they created, and they grew it from a $35,000 company to a $2 billion company. And then people don't give him any, give him some slack. I'm pretty sure Sebastian St. Louis has done more than any of us will ever do in our lifetime, right? Let me know when you take $30,000 and grow it into a company worth over $2 billion, and what's going to be worth in, it's partnered with Molson Coors, right? Molson Coors is in the billions, right? Like high billions, right? It's I forget what the valuation is on that one, but SSL wanted HEXO to be the Coca-Cola of the MJ industry. And guess what? They're partnered with Molson Coors, and Molson Coors is partnered with Coca-Cola on 2 beverages. Molson Coors makes beverages for Coca-Cola on 2 different products, Topo Chico Seltzer and Spiked Hard Lemonade. So if HEXO and Tilray are working together now, and Molson Coors is working with HEXO, and Molson Coors is already partnering with Coca-Cola on 2 different beverages, and we know Pepsi's trialed Rockstar Hemp in Germany a couple years ago. We know a year and a half ago, I think. And then Mary Jones Soda is getting into Mary Jones Soda. Might you think Coca-Cola would get, and who has the best opportunity, right? I think HEXO is going to be worth $10 to $20 billion company easily. And imagine starting a company with $35,000, right? Like, again, I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of hours of research, both in crypto, MJ. Thinking it will be federally legal and blow up, are you prepared to hold past them being delisted? They're not going to be delisted. There's like absolutely no way. They already have. Again, this is why if you do your research, you won't feel emotions. because they already have shareholder approval to do a 1-for-14 for reverse split. So, and they got a 180-day extension. So they have until January 25th to regain compliance. They could even merge with Tilray, at which case our HEXO shares would become Tilray shares. So that might not even matter. And then they could regain compliance easily. They've got 6 months to do it. Could easily get it back above $1 in 6 months, especially if we see any kind of safe banking or reversal in the sector into the fall. And then they already have approval to do a 1-for-14 reverse split. So it's like a virtual certainty. Well, there's no guarantees in life. But I'm like 99.99% sure that they're not going to delist because they already have their reverse split approval. So they could do a reverse split for 1-for-14. So what is the stock price at now? 23 cents. So if they do a 14 reverse split, that means the stock would be at $3.22. Guess what? They're now compliant again. Delisting again. The more research you do, the more emotions don't play a factor. I don't feel emotional about anything. I don't feel FOMO. I don't feel emotional. I don't feel shoulda, coulda, woulda anymore. I used to all the time, right? I used to have the patience of a, I don't even know, of a bull. But, it just comes with experience. How long before the next reverse split to keep from being delisted? Well, they have until January 25th. So they said, I think has to happen like within a week or something like that before then. So like the earliest that they would do a reverse split would be like January, probably. Early January or like late January, right? Buy at least 5,000 shares of HEXO and then don't look at it until 2025. Yeah, well, that's another plan too, right? You could just say, your time horizon could be an amount of years, right? Just buy now and hold for 5 years, 10 years. Personally, my long-term strategy and my long-term account is I'm holding until U.S. legalization. If that's 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, I'm prepared, right? I'm not selling my long-term account until that happens. But everybody's different. And yeah, if you want to set a date on it, right, that's something too. Unless you're in the red, right? You're probably not going to sell it if it's now 2025 and you're in the red. Well, you're probably not going to sell it, right? Unless you're going to do tax harvesting or something like that. But speak to your accountant about that. We up in the building, baby. You bet. Y'all saw that 23, yeah. HEXO was up more than a lot of the names at one point, but nice strong close there on CGC. My entire overall portfolio is one big cup and handle. Yeah. Well, let's get that follow through. Break that neckline. I have big hopes in HEXO. Yep, you and me both, Robert. And there's a reason why there's over 50 people here after an hour, and there's a reason why 60% of people in the POW group community are American. They haven't even tried HEXO products yet. And 60% of the people in POW have voted saying that they're from the US. So imagine when those 60% of people in POW can finally buy products of HEXO again. Or not again, but once they can finally buy it, right? They haven't even tried them yet. And I can guarantee if you tried HEXO's products, you'd be like, oh my God. This is like the next Amazon. Like, I'm telling you. Like Erwin Simon said, the CEO of Tilray. HEXO's an ingredient company and Tilray's a branding company. The two together, world domination, right? It's just a matter of when, not if. 50K shares, holding long. You bet. Thanks for the comment, Patrick. $3 for me is $1,968.26. That's super precision. But yeah, exactly, right? So everybody's different, right? So, some people have 50 shares, some people have 50,000 shares. I know people with over 100,000, some 200,000 shares of HEXO. Again, I don't feel like I'm inferior or compare myself to them. Everybody's different, right? Some might be closer to their retirement. Some might be just starting to invest. You might just be turning 18, right? Of legal age, right? What's up, man? This is it. Do you think it would be smart to split the exposure between HEXO and Tilray, or just Tilray ride or die? I have about 12K Tilray and I have another 10K to throw at this month. Well, it depends what your average is too, but you could look at putting new money as well into HEXO if that's what you wanted to do. You just buy every paycheck, buy every week, buy every 2 weeks, buy every month, once a month. kind of like that. I think it'd be a pretty good idea. If it were me, I'd probably sell at least 25% of my Tilray and buy HEXO with it. My honest opinion, that's probably what I would do. Again, not telling you to buy, sell, or hold, or giving you financial advice, because I'm not legally able to do that. It's for entertainment purposes only. But if you want my honest opinion, I'd probably put new money in and sell a little bit of it. I'd probably sell like 10-20% of my Tilray, buy HEXO with it, and then also put like another few $1,000s into my own money, like net new money, right? If it goes up to $3, I'll have $162. Not bad for $19 investment. Yeah, exactly, right? So that's, you got the right idea, right? You're starting to compound that. And then if you do that same thing again, just go to a compound interest calculator, do that. And then start with, like you said, start with $20, $25 or whatever. And then, see what it would be if you 10x that or 20x that. And then what that sum of that is, 10 or 20x that. And then the sum of that, 10 or 20x that, right? So, and as you come into more money, you can look to buy the dip and average and get your cost basis down, get your share count up, right? Okay, I'm going to run through these a little quicker now. 22K at 25 cents. If it hits $3, I'll be at 68K. Oh, you're one off from 69, my favorite number. No, I'm just kidding. 420 is my favorite number. But no, that's great, right? So that's what we're talking about. That's some life-changing gains, right? And imagine if it goes to $6 or $9. It was just at $11 a year and a half ago. On the Dems getting control of the Senate, not even hopes of legalization. It was just getting the Senate. And then they got the Senate and they didn't do anything. So imagine if they start doing something, right? And how beaten down we are. We weren't this beaten down in the whole sector the last time they got control of the Senate. So now if there's actually any progress, this beaten down, it should go to $20 in my opinion. Assuming Tilray doesn't buy them and they merge, right? But then your HEXO shares would just turn into Tilray, and Tilray is going to go to the moon after that because now they got HEXO and Redecan, so, and Zenabis and 48 North and Nephria. And Molson Coors is working with them, so good luck everybody else. And MedMen. Like, I'm telling you, this thing is going to get fun. Like, I can't wait for the future. Like, I'm just grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be alive, going through all this. Imagine how envious some generations to come are going to be. Like, you lived through MJ legalization? Lucky, And you're like, no, it was terrible. I was down 98%, and I never wanted to, like, friggin', lose my mind, right? People don't understand that there's trials and tribulations, and there's ups and downs, there's peaks and troughs, there's good and bad, right? But you need the bear market to get that life-changing gains, right? And if you're somebody who is looking to make life-changing gains, there's no better opportunity right now than in MJ at these prices. When things are down 90 to 98%, you might not get this opportunity again at this low of a price. I think they're going to drop. We're going to enter another bear market. We're going to see drops of, 50, 70, 80% again, but the prices will be up so high that by the time they get down 80%, it'll still be a lot higher than it is today, right? Just like crypto. Bitcoin dropped, 60%, and was still at $17,000, right? Which the all-time high in 2017 was $19,000. So it dropped 60% or 70%, whatever it was, from the highs, and it was still at 17,000, right? So that just goes to show you that there's going to be more 80% pullbacks, but next time it happens, everybody on here, because you're putting in the work, you're going to be prepared. And if you're not prepared, I'll be prepared, and I'll be warning you. Just like I've done this whole time. You can always go lower than you think. By the way, I want to join your Cool Kids Club and support what you do. I appreciate that, Tank. I actually just added some free trials as well, so if you want to just try it out for a week, you can do that too. Just go to palgroup.ca or pursuitofwealthgroup.com and sign up for the free trial. You don't even need a credit card or anything like that. You can come check it out for a week. I appreciate that, though. It goes both ways. Like I said, I'll support you in your journey. You support me in my journey, and, one big happy family kind of thing. Robert says, my goal is to generate at least $20,000. Then I'll place that into dividend stocks that are promising, and then do the process all over again with higher profits. Yeah, exactly. Once you're investment starts to become a high percentage of your net worth, then it's very risky. Then you can start to diversify and allocate it into other sectors that haven't run yet. And that's a big thing about POW is I want to spot the trends. That's the whole reason why I created POW, was so that people didn't have to make the same mistakes as me. The market's overwhelming. Filter out all the noise that you get on all those public forums that are free. And sometimes it's hard to wrap your head around everything when there's so much, FUD and just nonsense out there. So it's to filter out all the noise, but also to spot the up and coming trends, right? I was a big investor in Tesla and advocate for Tesla 3 years ago. I was telling my friend when it was under $200 to buy it. That was pre-split. And I was shooting for the rooftops, buy a Tesla. But, Wall Street was saying they're going bankrupt. They make less cars in a year than Toyota makes in a month. They're never going to make any money. And then it went from like $200 to what, like $4,000? And then it split, and now it's splitting again. Right? So now my next big thing, and then my next big thing was crypto. That ran. So now I'm focusing more on MJ because I think that's going to be the next thing to run. And then I really like Uber and Coinbase as well for long-term hold. I think those are going to be the next $1,000 stocks. HEXO does not pay out a dividend. No. Let's get to profitability first, and then we'll consider giving a dividend. If a company's not making any money, they can't really give you any dividends, right? But good question. John says, I bought every HEXO dip for the last year now, and I'm as invested as I care to be in it. Yeah, exactly. So that's great that you're aware of that, right? The number one thing is being aware in life, right? If you're aware of things, you can understand you might have a bit of a problem, right? Or not, or you don't have a problem, right? But awareness is needed to be able to identify whether you have a problem or you don't have a problem. Do you have a buying problem, or do you need to buy more, right? Maybe your problem is you're not buying more, right? That could be a good idea to get your cost basis down, right? But yeah, good that you're maintaining the golden rule. Don't invest any more than you're willing to lose. I'm down quite a bit, but aiming for long-term hold and scale out when above water someday. There you go, right? You can even try to fine-tune that plan, right? Set some take-profit levels. Have a long-term account, have a shorter-term account. Don't sell the long-term until U.S. legalization, or maybe you're not selling it for 10 years, or maybe you're 20 years old and you're not going to sell it till you're 40, right? Maybe that's your long-term plan, right? My long-term plan in my long-term MJ account is I'm selling once the U.S. legalizes. What's up, Rod? This is it, Mohammed. 20-cent average cost 103K shares. MJ rally today. You bet. Yeah, I bet you were loving life today. So if you got a 20-cent average, yeah, you're up pretty good today. And you got 103K shares. Wow. Yeah, just imagine that goes to $3 or $6 or $9 or just a February 2021 highs at $11. That's USD, by the way. $14 Canadian, I think it was. Patrick says, if you're outside of the US, can you still buy OTC? Yeah. Yeah, you can. Yeah, I bought OTC before. USNCA, yep. Pretty sure. To be honest, I usually buy everything in my registered accounts. So they won't let me buy OTC. I think there's some names you can buy OTC in a registered account. That's not really my specialty, to be honest with you. That's not like my area of expertise, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I'm not as familiar with the OTC. I don't trade OTC, to be honest, unless it's a name that I can only get on there. If it's I'm going with the highest volume exchange, and that's what I chart to is where the volume is, right? But yeah, I buy everything in my RSP and TFSA for the most part, and I usually buy it on NASDAQ or NYSE if at all possible. So that's where you get the liquidity too, right? Mark says 9,500 shares. Very nice. You're almost in the 10K club. 11,000 with an average of 23 cents. Very nice, David. You're in the 10K club as well. Mark says HEXO. You bet. Cheers back, David. All right. Going through this a little quicker here now. The questions keep coming. Okay, I just set my app to buy 95 more if it drops to 18 cents. Yeah, that's something you can do too. Set limit orders, right? Limit buys. Probably never see 18 again. Yeah, it's possible. I would, yeah. Good thing you said probably, though, because Probably never. You can never ever say never. One thing I learned in the financial industry is never say never. The only guarantee is there is no guarantees, right? SSL, and it not set up, MJ's still not set up that well if SPY really starts to, if we enter a depression and full confirmed recession and we see another leg down in the S&P 500, we could see another leg down in MJ as well. So we can't lose sight of the fact as that as well. And we still need to confirm weekly and monthly uptrends on a lot of our MJ. So we can't get too ahead of ourselves. We still got a lot of work to do yet. Still not out of the woods yet. SSL took the rap for a lot of the issues. Yeah, and you can't help but wonder if it was all orchestrated. And everything he said is coming true. It's just taking a little bit longer than what we expected. But even everybody at HEXO, on all the calls, all the management, no one had anything bad to say about SSL. All they said was, this guy's a genius, he's a visionary, we're in good hands. So if he was that terrible, why did everybody he worked with just love him? And why was I did many conference calls and interviews that he done, through different Canaccord, Genuity, and things like that. BMO, Tammy Chan, or whatever, and Pablo Zwanek or whatever his name is, and they couldn't, most interviews were only 15 minutes with CEOs of MJ companies. His was always an hour. They couldn't get enough questions in. They were just so eager to know more about the business. And every time he was on a panel with 3 or 4 other, I remember that one with T God and forget the other one, might have been Fire and Flower. But SSL was always the first to speak. And then anytime anybody else would speak, they'd be like, yeah, I'll echo what SSL said. And then I'll let SSL answer this one because he's the genius of the group, right? So again, it's just using that common sense factor and observing and being aware and watching what they do, not what they say exactly, right? Or what the media, and don't listen to mainstream media. They don't care. They don't care about you. They want you to stay broke, right? They want you to sell them your cheap shares, and then they want to sell you their expensive shares when prices are high. And then when prices are low, they want you to sell them their low shares. They want you to fail, right? I want you to succeed. That's why I tell you the truth. They lie to you, right? Just like they did with Tesla. Oh, Tesla's never going to make any money. It's going bankrupt, blah, blah, blah. And then the government passes bills that are favorable for Tesla. There's people in Congress owning Tesla shares, making laws that benefit Tesla. They should be behind bars. Really. I'm going to use the money that I generate off HEXO to start my clothing business so I can build a stable source of income outside of stocks, being my own boss in both worlds, keeping my money spinning. Yeah, and that's, everybody's always different, and do what you're passionate about. I was passionate about MJ and helping people. And then I was like, oh my God, this POW group thing is really, and it's usually the thing that you least think that's going to take off and be successful. I tried many other businesses and never really, a couple, but never had any long-term staying power. And then once I started POW, I was like, this is it. I'm doing this for the rest of my life, right? 100%. No questions. And being my own boss was a big thing too. And that's why I don't like day trading, because you're a slave to the computer at that point, right? Then you have to always go on to the computer every day. You don't have a life. Your back hurts, your neck hurts, your legs hurt, or whatever it is. You stand up, sit down. There's always a trade-off, right? But for me, I don't want to be a slave to the market and my computer. I'd rather just swing and invest. And quite frankly, the statistics show that people who buy and sell and trade end up making less money in the long term as those that just buy and hold, right? When I was day trading crypto, my friend, he just bought and hold on the dip in March 2020. I was day trading, and he made way more money than me. And all he did was just buy and then wait 2 years. And I was like, wow, that sounds so much less stressful, right? And he was like, yeah, dude, I was in Dominican traveling. And after that, I was like, okay, why do I even want to day trade? I was like, it was the thrill. It was like, okay, I'm getting good at this. But at the end of the day, that's a lot of stress. And I didn't want to be, glued to the computer. But I'm not knocking anybody who wants to day trade. That's fine too, right? But personally, I love traveling and not being on the computer. First thing I'm going to do after this is not be on the computer, right? So, but again, I'm not doing anything I don't want to do. I want to be on here, right? This is something I really enjoy. And like I said, I believe I was put on this earth to, I consider myself a pioneer in the MJ industry, right? I even did debates in school when everybody thought MJ was the devil's lettuce. I was in English class doing debates, and I would always be the guy advocating for US or for MJ legalization, right? And then people are like, "Oh, he's a druggie," and blah blah blah. Like now they're the ones who are consuming it, and now it's going to be legal in a global scale here pretty soon. But yeah, best of luck in your endeavors. I like I said, wish nothing but the best for everybody on here. Good point, you bet. Tilray already doing weekly higher highs and lower lows. I think the real turnaround in MJ has already begun. What are your thoughts, Rod? Well, again, we still need weekly and monthly uptrends across the sector. So in my opinion, we need HMMJ, the ETF in Canada, and MSOS in the ETF in the US to confirm weekly and monthly uptrends. Then we can say that the turnaround and the new bull market is starting. But MSOS is forming a weekly higher low now. So we're at, if we break 12.99 on MSOS and hold support at, I think it was 10.08, then we confirm a weekly uptrend. Then we zoom out to the monthly, we watch for a monthly uptrend. So we still got a few months of work to do before I call the bottom. So if I'm at 20 cents and they do a reverse split and that becomes $3, that's pure profit for me. I don't get the reverse split thing. Well, the reverse split, it's just a math game, right? It doesn't change anything. The value of the company stays the same. It's just they either increase or decrease the amount of shares or increase or decrease the price. So if they do a reverse split, then it's not going to change anything. You're just either going to have, if they do a regular stock split, they increase the amount of shares, so there's more pie, right? There's more piece of the pie. There's more pie out there to go around, and then it's cheaper because there's more shares, so it adds the shares, but it cuts the price. Or the reverse split is the opposite. It decreases the shares and increases the price. So it doesn't really change anything. You don't have to read too much into it because you're just going to get more shares, right? Or it's going to increase the price, but you're going to have less shares, right? So it's really not going to change anything. It's just an accounting trick is basically all it is. And it's a way for them to manipulate the markets. Tesla's getting too expensive. Oh, I know. We'll create this thing called a stock split so that at the peak, like they did with Amazon in 2000 in the dot-com days, we'll do a stock split. We'll introduce this new concept of a stock split because most people can't afford a $1,000 stock or a $5,000 stock. So here's what we'll do. We'll do a 20 to 1 stock split. Instead of a $3,000 stock or $4,000 stock, Amazon will be worth $100 or $150. Then we'll sell it to retail at the peak because they're thinking they can finally buy it now. Then they'll crash at 90%. And then they created things like, blockchain and crypto and MJ. And then they're like, oh, you know what? This thing's at risk of delisting. So we're Wall Street bankers. So we'll just lobby the government. We'll create this whole new concept of a reverse split. And then instead of delisting, we'll just do a reverse split. We'll get above and then problem solved, right? It's just a way for them to manipulate the market like they've always done. Bought at 19 cents, never paid more. Nice. I love the commitment and the the confidence. I want some drinks. Yeah, well, if you're from the U.S., you can go to just go to Google Trust CBD USA, and you can buy their hemp CBD ones. Ship right to your door if you're in the area. 26 different states, and I think they have retail in 3 different states. Wow, these live streams always go long. I want to keep buying more while it's down. Yep. Well, like I said, you can start dollar cost averaging, just buying every time you get paid, every week, every month, or whatever it is. 323 shares. Yep. So you could easily get that up, quite a bit, right? With prices down low. Not sure what your average is, but yeah. Mark, I actually sold all my Tilray and bought HEXO at 19 cents. Yeah, well, if you weren't down too much on your Tilray, again, I personally own 13 different positions in MJ, but it's whatever works for you. I only have 7,500 shares. Well, again, everybody starts somewhere, so don't sweat it. 7,500 shares, like I said, if HEXO goes back to all-time highs, that's going to be pretty good gains, right? We have over 5 months before we have to worry about reverse split. Yep, and look what happened last time at reverse split. How many people said HEXO is going to drop when they reverse split last time? Well, okay, why does everybody keep saying that when we're more beaten down than we were the last time we split? And it's not just HEXO down, it's the whole sector. And look what happened. We split on December of 2020. So we went from $3 all the way up to $11 right after. So where's the logic there? Why does everybody think we're going to go down after the reverse split? It's possible that we go down, but it doesn't mean we have to. A classic example is we reverse split here and then we went up a bunch, right? So it doesn't have, nothing has to happen. Sundial went down after its reverse split, but I could see that coming from a mile away because the whole broader market was weak. MJ hadn't even got close to a reversal, whereas the difference is whenever HEXO did a reverse split, the whole sector in MJ was starting to go crazy, and so was the broader market, right? So two very, very different situations. Again, that's why you can't just look at one MJ stock or one MJ sector. That's why looking at the broader market, the S&P 500, the tech sector, the crypto sector, the precious metals, everything, commodities, and then all of this stuff, and then you can see the correlations, right? And if all this is too overwhelming, don't worry, because it always is for anybody who's new. That's why I created something like PAL, right? Was that more eyes on the market, the better, right? Will do, you bet. Reverse splits means your shares will get divided and your average cost will go up by X amount. Well, no, your average cost, it doesn't change anything. A reverse split just decreases the amount of shares and increases the price. A regular stock split just increases the shares and decreases the price, right? Nothing changes in terms of the enterprise value of the company, right? The market cap stays the same. I know you wanted to keep me in this live stream about HEXO, but I'm curious, since Tilray passed the I'll keep it about HEXO. But since it passed 418 mark, is there more potential upside? Yep. So Tilray, really, really positive momentum. It's starting the monthly bounce. So you can see HEXO hasn't started the monthly bounce. We need to break 25 cents USD to start the bounce. And Tilray's already breaking the high of last month. So this is good. The more names that start breaking the highs of the previous month and start the monthly bounce, the better. But yeah, you're right. In terms of the weekly time frame, we have a weekly uptrend now with the low, high, higher, low, and higher high. So once we broke 416, we confirmed the weekly uptrend. A lot of our names still haven't confirmed weekly uptrend. You could argue that HEXO did. Low, high, higher, low, and higher high. But a name like CGC today closed the day up 21%, right at the high of the day. But we haven't confirmed a weekly uptrend yet. See, we have no higher low. This move's all coming off the low. So what we need to do is we need to top out, come down, form a higher low, and then a higher high. So Tilray and HEXO are technically stronger than like a CGC, right? But yeah, good eye there on the resistance. Buying way more at 18 cents. Anything bought before legalization is a good discount. You bet, Javin? Not sure how to pronounce that. Javin? Final answer. So much for an hour stream, half-hour stream. Yeah, it's like impossible. Well, I don't mind. I usually get it done in a half hour, what I want to say. And then when I come on here and I answer questions, I have no idea of telling how long it's going to go. And I try my best to give you guys as much value and try to not cut you short. So hopefully people understand. My best friend Mark told me to start buying, and I have little by little. I am so glad I did. Yeah, you bet, Rosa. Well, again, you also need to be confident in what you did buy, right? But it seems like you have a pretty good friend. Keep up the hard work. Appreciate the effort. You bet. Thank you very much. Appreciate you joining the stream and appreciate the support as always. How many Tilray shares do you own? I've got, I don't even know. It's a few thousand. It's like 20%, 30% of my MJ portfolio. I'd have to check. Anyway, I'll give you a ballpark figure. So it's like, it's around $10,000 worth. So you just do, yeah, $10,000 divided by, say, $4. So yeah, I've got like 2,000 or 3,000 shares. Haha, Rod, go, man, shut off the stream. HEXO is like the next gen Coca-Cola. This is my analogy. Well, it's actually, if you go to my channel, it was actually SSL's analogy. Where is it? I guess I gotta put the actual word. I don't want to say it because it doesn't like it, but where is it? There we go. Sebastian says this was 1 year ago. SSL tells BNN Bloomberg that he wants HEXO to become the Coca-Cola of the MJ industry. So it was actually he coined the term originally. SBXS is a good investment long-term or short-term in your opinion? More short-term, and they use high leverage options to get the 3x leverage. So if you're going to do a long-term, do just regular short shares. It's better for a short to medium term. Hey Mark, yes, I have a great friend. Thanks to him, I got into the secondary metals business, and now I own my own company. His advice is always the best. Huh. And then Mark says, "Hi Russ, I'm starting to smell a bot here. Next thing you know, we're gonna get a Telegram channel." I even got like impersonators now finally doing the bots. It's like Rodney Rodriguez joined my Telegram channel. It's funny too, because like Rodney's not a popular name. I think I was like one of the ones, the last ones to get it. My middle name's Ruben too, so also a very uncommon name. CPG partner this month, potentially. They said first edibles, including cookies, granola bars, and more other food products as well by the end of summer. So it could be this month, could be next month. Realistically, we have until like September, right, the end of summer. So, and things have been delayed. Tilray deal got delayed, so I think once the sector reverses, that's probably what the CPG partner is waiting for, right? And they've waited this long. It'd kind of be a mistake, in my opinion, to release it before the sector reverses, especially leading into the fall, where Germany and New York's coming online recreationally, and then we potentially get safe and descheduling into the fall as well. Could be one hell of a fireworks show. Couple that with the CPG partner news, entry into California. Yeah, buddy. If HEXO just barely gets over $1, do you think HEXO can still reverse split? No, I don't think they'll reverse split if they get over $1. They haven't done it now. They're probably pretty confident that they won't need to. And they have until January 25th, so. 2023 is the year of MJ. You bet. Let's hope so. If not, I'm prepared to wait. Again, as long as you're prepared for all scenarios, right? All right, going to end it there. Thanks so much, everybody, for your contribution to the live stream today. It does not go unnoticed. I appreciate the support. If you could like the video, share it with anybody. If you think I earned it today, smash a like. I would really appreciate it. And share the video with anybody that might find value. I know it's a little bit longer, but they did invent this thing called 1.5x speed and 2x speed. I know I talk fast, so try it if you dare. But you can always slow it down, too, at parts that interest you a little bit more, right? So, yeah. Thanks again for joining us on The Pursuit of Wealth. It's Rob with Pal Group. Thank you so much. Have a great night. We'll see you in the next video.